She did not plan to lie. It happened in a moment so small it barely registered as a choice. A pause in conversation, a question asked casually, an answer shaped more by convenience than intention. If she had known that moment would follow her for years, she might have answered differently, or she might not have. At the time, it felt harmless. Her life before the lie was ordinary in a way that rarely draws attention. She worked steadily, paid her bills, returned messages late, and often told herself she would slow down once things settled. They never did. She had learned early how to appear capable. People relied on her. That mattered to her more than she admitted. The lie came during a conversation that should have ended quickly. Someone asked about a decision she had not yet made. Instead of explaining the truth, which felt messy and unfinished, she offered a simpler version, a cleaner one. It made her sound certain, responsible, slightly ahead of where she actually was. No one challenged it. Relief arrived immediately, the kind that settles in the chest and loosens the shoulders. She told herself it was temporary, just until she figured things out, just until the truth matched the story. But days passed, then weeks. The story stayed ahead of reality. Each time the topic came up again, she repeated the same version. It became easier, familiar, almost factual in the way rehearsed things begin to feel real. She noticed the first change quietly. She began to think before speaking, not about honesty, but about consistency. She tracked what she had said, to whom and when. She adjusted details without realizing she was doing it. Nothing dramatic, just small edits to keep the narrative intact. The lie did not feel like deception. It felt like maintenance. Her life continued. She went to work, met deadlines, smiled at the right moments. People trusted her. Some admired her composure. She accepted the praise carefully, aware that it rested on something unfinished. At night, she replayed conversations, not with guilt, but with calculation. Had she said too much? Had she said too little? Did anyone notice the hesitation before her answers? She promised herself she would correct it soon, once things were clear, once she was ready. Readiness became her favorite word. The lie expanded not because she added to it, but because she lived around it. Choices were made to protect it. Opportunities were declined because they might expose it. Relationships stayed shallow because deeper questions could not be answered cleanly. She became skilled at deflection. Humor helped. So did vagueness. People filled in gaps themselves. She let them. Over time, something subtle happened. She began to believe parts of it, not fully, but enough that the truth felt distant, like an old version of herself she no longer needed to explain. When memory conflicted with the story, she trusted the story. It was simpler. It kept things moving. There were moments when discomfort surfaced, a quiet tightening when someone praised her for something she had not earned, a strange emptiness after conversation that should have felt affirming. She ignored these signals the way people ignore background noise. With practice, the lie did not isolate her immediately. It reorganized her. She structured her days efficiently. Productivity became proof of worth. As long as she stayed busy, she did not have to reflect. As long as she moved forward, she did not have to look back. People described her as focused, grounded, in control. She accepted those words with a practiced nod. Inside, she felt strangely absent from her own life, like a guest staying too long in a familiar place. There was one person who noticed a difference. Not the lie itself, but the shift. A friend who had known her before she learned how to edit herself so carefully. They asked questions that lingered. They listened longer than was comfortable. She kept her answers polite and brief. Distance followed, not from conflict, but from avoidance. She told herself friendships evolve, that people grow apart. It sounded reasonable enough to believe. The lie had become something she carried without thinking about its weight. It shaped how she introduced herself, how she planned her future, how she measured success. It was no longer a sentence she repeated. It was a framework. She noticed it most when she was alone. In quiet moments when distractions failed, a sense of dissonance surfaced. A feeling that her life was slightly misaligned, not broken, just off by enough to cause friction. She ignored it. Everyone feels this way, she told herself. This is adulthood. The lie protected her from immediate discomfort, but it demanded constant attention. It required her to stay alert, to avoid certain paths, to perform certainty even when doubt crept in. She told herself the truth would come later, that she was not lying, just delaying. That intention mattered more than timing. But intention without action stretches thin over time. One evening, she caught herself correcting a detail aloud while alone, adjusting the story for no audience. The moment startled her. She laughed it off, uneasy with how natural it felt. That was when she realized something had shifted. The lie was no longer something she managed. It was something she lived inside. And without noticing when it happened, her real life had begun to orbit around it. By the time she noticed the weight of the lie, it had already rearranged her life. It showed up first in her relationships. Conversations felt rehearsed before they began. She listened for cues, not connection. She answered questions carefully, measuring tone and detail, always aware of the version of herself she was expected to maintain. People spoke to her as though they knew her well. She nodded along, unsure when that familiarity had slipped beyond truth. She began to feel tired in a way rest did not fix. The lie required energy, not effort exactly, but vigilance. It asked her to remain consistent even when her inner world shifted. Growth threatened it. Change endangered it. So she stayed the same longer than she should have. Opportunities came and went. Some she declined outright. Others she approached cautiously, making sure they would not ask too much of her. She told herself she was being selective, mature, disciplined. What she was really doing was narrowing her life to fit the shape of something untrue. There were moments when the truth pressed close, a question asked too directly, a form that demanded precision, a conversation that lingered longer than planned. Each time her body reacted before her mind did, a tightening in the chest, a quickening pulse, a sudden need to redirect. She became skilled at escape. She filled her days with activity. Productivity gave her cover. As long as she was moving, no one asked why she never arrived. As long as she appeared steady, no one questioned her foundation. Late at night, when the noise settled, the emptiness returned. She would sit with her phone dark in her hand, feeling the strange distance between who she was and who she presented. It was not guilt that troubled her most. It was grief for the self she kept postponing, for the honesty she believed she would return to when life slowed down. It never did. The lie had begun as a shield, but it had quietly become a filter. Everything passed through it. Decisions, relationships, ambitions, even memory adjusted itself to preserve the story. She could no longer remember the exact moment the lie began. Only that before it, life felt more direct, less edited. The cost revealed itself slowly. People stopped asking deeper questions. They accepted her at face value. Compliments landed hollow. Praise felt undeserved and strangely insulting. She began to feel unseen, though she had built the invisibility herself. One afternoon, she ran into someone who had known her before everything became polished. They spoke easily at first. Then came a pause. A simple question, asked without suspicion, she answered automatically. As the words left her mouth, she felt the fracture, the awareness that she had just chosen the lie again, even when no one had forced her to, even when honesty would not have destroyed anything. The moment passed. The conversation ended politely. She walked away feeling something she could not name. That night, she did not distract herself. She sat with the discomfort and allowed it to stay. The memory of every small choice returned, not as accusation, but as pattern. She saw it clearly then. The lie had promised safety, but it had cost her direction. It had protected her from embarrassment and uncertainty, but it had quietly taken her sense of alignment. She was successful by some measures, stable by others, but disconnected from herself in a way that no achievement could fix. The realization did not bring relief. It brought stillness. For the first time in years, she stopped asking how to maintain the story and started asking whether she still wanted to live inside it. There was no dramatic exposure, no confrontation, no single moment where everything collapsed. Just a choice waiting patiently. She considered what telling the truth would cost. Confusion, disappointment, the need to explain delays and contradictions, the discomfort of being seen as unfinished. She also considered what continuing would cost. More years of careful speech, more distance from herself, more relationships built on approximation. She understood then that the lie had not ruined her life. It had paused it, and she had mistaken that pause for progress. The next day, she did something small. She corrected a detail, not publicly, not dramatically, just enough to shift the direction slightly. The discomfort was immediate. Her heart raced. Her voice felt unfamiliar in her own ears. Nothing bad happened. Encouraged, she did it again days later. Another small truth, another adjustment. Each one felt heavier than it should have, but also cleaner, like breathing deeper after years of shallow air. Some people noticed, some did not. No one reacted the way she had feared. The lie did not disappear overnight. It loosened slowly. Some parts were too embedded to remove without damage. She accepted that. This was not a story of rescue. It was a story of reckoning. She learned to sit with awkwardness, to allow silence without filling it, to admit uncertainty without apology. It cost her some approval. It cost her the comfort of being admired for a version of herself that never existed. What she gained was quieter. She felt present again, not confident, but real, not ahead, but aligned. Years later, she would think back to the lie and understand the final lesson it had taught her. Lies do not always destroy lives. Sometimes they preserve them just long enough to keep you from living them fully. And truth does not always arrive to save you. Sometimes